The world of names.
Yes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna,
Wonderful.
everybody's please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace KRIPANIDHI Prabhu, a direct disciple of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada and our beloved uncle, a great uncle to some of us here. Prabhuji has been so generous to be with us, to share his love and wisdom with us throughout the years. Prabhuji, let me just say this. I don't know how it happened, but I would say like for the past 1 week or so, I'll be listening to something about devotional service online, and your name comes across. Yesterday I was listening to something, and your name came across. Pancha Gouda Prabhu, who is also been so generous, his name also came across, and I said to myself, I have to be very careful because by Sri Guru Krishna's grace, I happen to have some sort of association with like the two names I mentioned, your humble self and Pancha Gouda Prabhu. But you have rendered so much service to Srila Prabhupada's mission, and you are so humble that if one does not take care, one may begin to think, oh, this is my peer. Very dangerous. So, Prabhuji, before we continue, before we start, I should say, please forgive us of any inadvertent mistakes we might have committed, but we're very grateful to have your association every now and then on this platform, sharing your love and wisdom with us. So we truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I think we have 2 verses we're covering today. So
yeah.
Yes. So we may put the verses on the screen and then you take it over from here. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jai. So, pregnancy of DT in the evening, Canto 3, Chapter 14, Text 35. For our respects to Srila Vedavyas. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskricha Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswatim Vyasa Tatorjayam Udirayat Nasta Prigeshu Abhideshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Text 35. Namo Rudraya Mahate Deva Yograya Miduse Shivaya Nyasta Dandaya Drita Dandaya Manyave. Namaha, all obeisances unto Rudraya, unto the angry Lord Shiva. Mahate, unto the great. Devaya, unto the demigod. Ugraya, unto the ferocious. Midhushe, unto the fulfiller of all material desires. Shivaya, unto the all auspicious. Nyasta Dandaya, unto the forgiving. Drita Dandaya, unto the immediate chastiser. Manyave, unto the angry. Queen Diti, the wife of Kashyapa Muni, is speaking. Let me offer my obeisances unto the angry Lord Shiva, who is simultaneously the very ferocious great demigod and the fulfiller of all material desires. He is all auspicious and forgiving, but his anger can immediately move him to chastise. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Diti prayed for the mercy of Lord Shiva very cleverly. She prayed that the Lord can cause me to cry, but if he likes, he can also stop my crying because he's Ashutosh, one who is easily pleased. He is so great that if he likes, he can immediately destroy my pregnancy. But by his mercy, he can also fulfill my desire that my pregnancy not be spoiled. Because he is all auspicious, it is not difficult for him to excuse me from being punished. Although he is now ready to punish me, because I have moved his great anger, he appears like a man, but he is the Lord of all men. Text number 36. Sana prasidatam bhamo Bhagavan urvanugraha Vyadyas anukampyanam Srinam deva sati pati. Saha naha with us, prasidatam, be pleased. Bhamaha, brother-in-law, Bhagavan, the personality of all opulences. Uru, very great. Anugraha, merciful. Vyadasya, of the hunter. Api, also. Anukampyanam, of the objects of mercy. Srinam, of the women. Deva, of the worship of the Lord. Sati Pati, the husband of Sati, the chaste. Let him be pleased with us, since he is my brother-in-law, the husband of my sister Sati. He is also the worshipable Lord of all the women. He is the personality of all opulences and can show mercy towards women who are excused even by the uncivilized hunters. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Lord Shiva is the husband of Sati, one of the sisters of Diti. Diti invoked the pleasure of her sister Sati so that Sati would request her husband to excuse her. Besides that, Lord Shiva is the worshipable Lord of all women. He's naturally very kind towards women, on whom even the uncivilized hunters also show their mercy. Since Lord Shiva is himself associated with women, he knows very well their defective nature, and he might not take very seriously Diti's unavoidable offense, which occurred due to her faulty nature. Every virgin girl is supposed to be a devotee of Lord Shiva. Diti remembered her childhood worship of Lord Shiva and begged his mercy. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So in this Canto 3, Chapter 14, we're learning that perhaps by the influence of the Lord, two demons were conceived in the womb of Diti at the wrong time of day when Lord Shiva is traveling, followed by ghosts, hobgoblins, yakshas. Those persons in the mode of ignorance, they worship Lord Shiva. Diti approached her husband to conceive children. at the wrong time. And we see that Kasyapa Muni was not so strong in trying to detain the time of conception. And so at an inauspicious time, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu took birth. So we see that even in the demigod planets, the heavenly planets, the higher planets, because Kashyapa is the son of Maricha, who is the son of Brahma. And Diti is also daughter of Daksha. She got married to Kashyapa, and Shiva married her sister Sati. So these are very powerful beings, very powerful personalities. Lord Shiva, of course, is a great devotee of the Lord, Vaishnavani Mita Shambhu. And so she now is afraid because she has seduced her husband, Kashyapa, who is a great sage, to conceive at this time. And now she's feeling morose and afraid, and she's trying to appease Lord Shiva from his anger. Lord Shiva is also in charge of the mode of ignorance. He can become very angry. We see in the 10th canto, Lord Shiva tried to protect his great devotee, Banasura, son of Bali Maharaj, who had attacked Dwarka with his 1,000 arms. And Banasura, of course, was quite demoniac. He had captured Aniruddha, the grandson of Lord Krishna. Usha had fallen in love with Aniruddha, and they were having a relationship. And Banasura captured Aniruddha. And so the Yadavas, they came with Krishna and Balaram, and they fought Lord Shiva and his son, Kartikeya and Ganesh. So although Lord Shiva is a great devotee of Krishna, Lord Vishnu, here we see that for the sake of his devotees, he dares to fight with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is this the hand of Krishna making arrangements to, because Krishna has a fighting spirit. We know that Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, that they actually were cursed by the 4 Kumaras at the 7th gate of the Vaikuntha planets. Jai Vijay were cursed by the 4 Kumaras take birth in the material world, and they chose to take birth as demons. And so they took birth as Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Shishupal, Dantavakra, and then Jagai Madai. So ete chamsa kala pumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam. Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit that the Supreme Lord, Krishna, who is totally independent, he is the Supreme Purusha, the Supreme Person, above the demigods. Name vidu suragana prabhavam nama harishaya ahamadir hi devanam. That I'm not known even by the demigods and the great rishis. Not even these great rishis know Krishna perfectly. And these demigods, even Lord Shiva is sometimes bewildered and doesn't recognize Lord Krishna. Of course, after Krishna, Narayan Shwar defeated Lord Shiva Shwar, Lord Shiva offered wonderful prayers that Krishna is Mayata Tamidam Sarvam, Jagada Vyakta Murtinam, Astani Sarvabhutani. That the Lord is spread throughout the universe. Paschime Yogamaishvaram, Bhutabrin Nacha Bhutasto, Yayat. That although he's spread all over the universe, he's also independently and beyond this material world. So he's in every atom, between the atom, adantaracha paramanu chantarasta. At the same time, he enters into the atom as Vishnu. He's in every atom as Vishnu, between the atom also. At the same time, Krishna is independently engaging in his transcendental activities in the spiritual world. So, Indrahi Vyakulam Lokam, that the demigods, they go to Krishna or Lord Vishnu, Shiradaksha Vishnu, and they pray for protection from the demons. Indrahi Vyakulam Lokam, Mridyanti Yuge Yuge. Millennium after millennium, the enemies of the demigods are vanquished by the Supreme Lord. So here, Diti has committed an offense to Lord Shiva, and she's trying to please him now so that he doesn't curse her and so on. He doesn't become very angry. We see in this chapter that the power of the woman is also described here. That women, they have some weakness. Therefore, Prabhupada said they should be protected in childhood by their father, in their youth by their husband, and in old age by their sons. Lord Kapila says here in the third canto, Pasyame balam mayaya, Pasyame balavam pasyamayaya, Srimaya darino disham. Yat karoti pada krantam, bruvijimbrena kevalam. Kapila Dev tells Devahuti, just see my Maya in the form of a woman. Pasyame, balavan pasyamayaya. Srimaya jaino disham. Yat karoti pada krantam. That the great heroes, they go out to battle and they conquer all 12 directions. They conquer all the directions by their power and their Shakti. But when they come home to their queen, Yat karoti padakrantam, they fall at her feet. Yat karoti padakrantam, bruvi jimbrena. By the movement of her eyebrows, she conquers those who conquer all 12 directions. Jimbrena kevalam. So this is the power, as Kapila says, see my Maya in the form of Stri, one who expands the material activities and so on. So this is the material world. Pumsos trio maitani bhavametam. Tayor eva hridaya grantimahum. Ato griha shetra sutapti vitair janasya mohoyam mahammameti. That this combination of man and woman increases the knot within the heart. And then one wants to becomes attached to children and friends and relatives and properties and bank balance and so many material so-called assets. So this is the nature of the material world. And the woman here, Kapila Dev, compares to his powerful Maya form. So Kashyapa Muni, he was influenced in this way. Prabhupada called him in the purport handpecked. So actually, if the husband is very strong in spiritual life and Krishna consciousness, then he can control these tendencies of his devotee wife. Guru na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat. Daivam na tasyat na patishya sasya, namocha ya samupetya mrityum. Rishabhadev says that in this verse that you should be a husband Only if you can take your dependents, your wife, your children, back to Godhead. The Krishna conscious husband is also considered to be the Guru Tattva, the Guru Dev. He's called Pati Dev, or godlike husband. He is like the guru of the family. He has been equipped to cultivate Krishna consciousness and spiritual life and protect the whole family by being Krishna conscious. Ananyas chintayantama yejana paryapasate. Those who worship, if we worship Krishna and practice the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, then Krishna will protect us and carry what we lack and preserve what we have. This is his promise to Arjuna. So Arjuna was also saying that Varna Shankara, that if these kings and warriors are destroyed, the women will become unprotected and unwanted population will take birth in the world. So this is the problem. Janaka Pandit said that a son who is not a devotee of Vishnu, he is like urine. An unchaste wife, she is can destroy the family. And a husband who's in debt, he is the enemy. So very, very important for practicing this Krishna consciousness is to keep our family members in Krishna consciousness as well, and set a very good example. Yad yad acharati shrestas tatad evitaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute. Prabhupada said, lokastadanuvartate. Srila Prabhupada said that character is more important than some education, some gyan. That the character of a devotee, acharati shreshtat, his achar is more important than his prachar, like that. So the in the Grihastha ashram, it's described in the 7th canto, I believe chapter 11, the duties of a Grihastha, and how he has to protect his family members, his wife, and so on. And it's also carefully mentioned that a woman is like fire and a man is like a pot of butter. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also demonstrated this very strictness that one should avoid over indulgence and discussions or association with the opposite sex. Teshu asanteshu mudeshu kanditatmasu asadeshu sangam nakuryat strosheshu yoshit krida migeshu cha. Krida migeshu cha means that one should not be like a dancing dog in the hands of a woman. That one must control the mind and the senses. Samadama tapasocham shantir arjavam evacha. Jnana Vijnana Ashtikam Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. So Prabhupada is trying to create especially the Brahminical class of man who is very simple in his lifestyle. He controls his mind, he controls his senses, he performs tapasya, denial of sense gratification. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna warns Arjuna, Indiyarteshu samyogad yattat agre mitopamam, that the contact with the senses and their sense objects, indriyarteshu samyoga, connection, people just want to enjoy their senses continuously. Yattat agre mitopamam. In the beginning, it's just like nectar. Oh, I'm enjoying my senses. I'm doing this. Prabhupada said even using your wife for sense gratification and not for procreation is also unacceptable, and your wife is not a prostitute. Yatat agre metopamam, pariname vishamevam. What happens is life becomes poisonous, life becomes miserable. Rajasas tufalam dukam. In the mode of passion, as Krishna says in this verse, tatsukam rajasam smritam. Such a kind of pleasure, sensual delights, hedonism, modern society as we see it now, chintam aparimam cha pralayantam upashritaha, that they think to enjoy their senses until death, pralaya, is the goal of human life, the purpose of human life. Simply enjoy. Tomorrow we die. Hedonistic society. And therefore we see the degradation of human beings, wars break out, promiscuity happening, children don't know who their parents are, Varna Shankara, people are being Varna Shankara, uncivilized. What is civilized? Chani Pandit says, a civilized man is one who sees another's property as garbage in the street, who sees other women as his mother, like that. That is civilized society. And that is what the Srimad Bhagavatam is trying to give us. Srila Prabhupada's purports, Shukadev Goswami. This Bhagavatam is trying to uplift this horrible society in which everyone is Kalua Sudra Sambhava, even less than Sudra. People are simply in a mode of passion and ignorance, and they don't understand that simply creates havoc in our society. And Rajasu Janakadasu, the leaders of society, the politicians, they're simply stealing through taxation. Rajasu Janakadasu, there's thieves just drinking the blood of their subjects, exploiting them so they can try to enjoy this material world, which is impossible to enjoy like that. So this Vedic society, this Vedic civilization, this Varnashram system is a scientific social science meant to keep everything in control and raise people from the modes of passion and ignorance into the mode of at least sattva gun, the mode of goodness. Karmana sukritasya, sat become nirmalam phalam. The fruit of the mode of goodness is the heart becomes purified. Nirmalam phalam, nirmala. The heart becomes purified by chanting the holy names of the Lord and Yasya David to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, Tataguru. Tasyaite katitahiyarta prakashante mahatmaha. Become a Mahatma. Become a great soul by surrendering to the spiritual master's instructions and given by Krishna, the Guru Parampara system. So Diti is feeling very morose that somehow her impetuous mind, as Arjuna says, Chanchala imana Krishna pramati balavadridam asyaham nigraham manye Vair eva suduskaram. The mind is chanchal. It's just going here and there like a dog trying to sniff out some pleasure. And Pramati, very stubborn. So Diti was able to, just convince her husband to procreate at the wrong time. So in Krishna consciousness, we have nice children. We perform Garbhadan Samskara. We once a month, when the wife is fertile, we engage in union for producing beautiful children. Dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshaba. That Krishna says in the Gita, I am sex life, which is according to the rules and regulations. So these are different lessons that we're learning here in Srimad Bhagavatam. We're learning various lessons. Here we're learning to be very cautious. One must approach our lives with great caution. We should be very careful in our spiritual lives. Therefore, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they've given us Pancharachika Vidhi. Wake up early, perform your sadhana bhakti, chant your rounds very carefully, at least 16 rounds. Srila Prabhupada is so merciful. He understood the Western mind, Western tendencies, so he reduced from 64 to 16 rounds. But we must chant them with great attention and great sincerity. The holy name, of course, is a person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Kritaya Dyeto Vishnum, Tretayam Yajanamaka, Dwaparam Paricharyayam, Kalir Yad Dari Kirtanad. That in the age of Kali, one achieves the same benefit as performing great austerity in Satya Yuga, 10,000, 60,000. Vishwamitra, he performed tapasya for 6,000 years. Dhruva Maharaj performed tapasya for 10,000 years. This is Satya Yuga. It's so nice that the Lord has come and given us this simple process. Kritayad, Kalaryad Dari Kirtanad. In Kali Yuga, simply by this Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sharva Shakti, chanting this powerful holy name of the Lord. All his potencies are there. He is very potent. He's very powerful. He is creating millions and trillions of universes. And Vasudev Dada was asking Lord Chaitanya, let me take all the sinful reactions of all the people in this whole universe and let them go back to the spiritual world, and let me take on all their so many sinful reactions people are performing every day. Therefore, at the time of their death, we have to understand, mudho joni sujayate. They will take birth in the lower species of life. This is described in the 5th canto also, that ahani ahani bhutani, ahani ahani bhutani gachantiya yamalayam. That step by step, everyone is approaching the courtyard of the Lord of Death, Lord Yamaraj. And then they have to be prepared for their next birth. And unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, they're most unfortunate. They have no spiritual understanding that they're Aham Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, eternal servants of Krishna. They're being wrongfully educated in atheism and demonism. Rakshashim Asurim Chaiva, Prakriti Mohinim Shritaha. They're Rakshashas, simply committing humongous sinful activities. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that the person who gives permission to kill, the person who kills or slaughters, the person who transports, the person who sells, the person who buys, the person who consumes, they're all implicated in suffering in their next life. How do they suffer? They suffer in a planet called Mahararava, horrible planet where the Rurus are creatures that are more envious than snakes. And they simply bite and kill and eat. This living person in this hellish planet, he has to experience that while he's alive. He has a body which is manufactured for him to suffer like this. For one hair on the body of a cow, one death in Mahararava for consuming the flesh of a cow. What to speak of people buying every day hamburgers and steak. They love to eat the flesh of mother cow. Atmamata Guru Patni, Brahmani Raja Patnikam, Denu Datri Tata Pritvi, Saptaiva. That there's 7 mothers, and one of them is Denu Mata, Go Mata, Denu, the cow. She's the cow. She's the mother of human society. Without cow protection and protection of Brahminical culture, Brahmins, then the whole society goes into chaos and darkness, and they don't understand how critical their position is, how heinous their situation, how dangerous their situation is for committing these heinous activities on a daily basis. Therefore, the Lord comes or sends his great devotees like Srila Prabhupada and Sochetato Vimukha Sachetasa Indriyartam Maya Sukayam Baram Udvahato Vimudha. Prahlad Maharaj told Lord Nrsingadev, I am totally in ecstasy just serving you. Why are you offering me some material benediction? I'm not a businessman. I'm not a merchant. Sevako Vanik. I'm not a Vanik. I'm not a merchant. I simply, my only hankering and lamentation, so chetito, my only lamentation is that these foolish people, vimukha chetasa indriyartam, their consciousness is embedded in indriyar boga, sense gratification. Vimukha, they're bewildered by this mind and senses, uncontrolled. As Prahlad told Hirani, his father, uncontrolled senses. It's unfortunate. So, Mukha changes Maya Sukaya, they're trying to enjoy. How is it possible? Dukalayama Shashvatam, Krishna tells Arjuna, Mamu Pecha Punarajanma, Dukalayama Shashvatam, Napnovanti Mahatmanas, Samsidim Paramam Gati. That you become a devotee and you transcend this place that is temporary, and Dukalayam, it's full of misery. Full of misery. In Kali Yuga, it's even more pronounced. Even these demigods are suffering. Here, Diti makes a mistake, and she realizes that her children, her 2 sons, are big demons. So she holds these children in her womb for 100 years by the demigods. 100 years. And finally, she has to give birth to them. And when she does, the whole universe becomes dark by their birth. They're big, big demons. Nowadays, we don't have such rakshasas, such big demons, but unfortunately, majority of people are under the demoniac tendencies in this age of Kali. Because of her mistake, the world becomes, the whole planet becomes put into danger. It becomes traumatized. Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. One of the chapters in the 7th canto. Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. He becomes so powerful by his tapasya that the demigods go into hiding. And he occupies the kingdom of Lord Indra, who is the king of heavens. He even takes over his kingdom. So much power he had. So dangerous. So the Lord has to come. Why? Because he decides to commit the greatest Vaishnav aparad. Narada Muni had preached to Prahlad's mother when she was in the mother's womb, and Prahlad became a pure devotee by the great sage Narada Muni, Deva Rishi Naradastata. Arjuna says, Param Dham, Param Brahm, Pavisham Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam. Adideva Majam Vibhum, Ahustram Rishaya Sarve, Deva Rishi Naradastata. That the great sages all proclaim Krishna as the supreme shelter, the supreme Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, the supreme pure, the supreme shelter, the supreme personality. That is God, that is Krishna. And we are very fortunate that we're being given this opportunity and this path of pure bhakti out of the mercy of the great, great devotees of the Lord who take it upon themselves, like Prahlad Maharaj. He said, I don't want to live in the Himalayas like the yogis and the gyanis and simply practice mona vrata and practice tapasya simply for their own liberation. I simply want to go into the towns and villages and out of compassion, devotee is karunya, one of the 26 qualities is karunaya. He's a very compassionate. Para dukkha dukkha. Prahlad Maharaj was feeling so much pain to see the condition of the living entities who were covered by this maya sukaya. Baram means society, friendship, love. Everyone loves me. I have my society. I have my family. At the time of death, Kapila Dev describes that the relatives are surrounding this materialistic person, and he's lying there, and he can't speak. His throat is choked up with phlegm and mucus, and he's about to die, and the parents are all not parents, the relatives and children are all thinking about their inheritance or what they're going to do. They can't really help anyone. And then the Yamadutas come, and he sees the Yamadutas. They come and drag his soul, his subtle body, with his soul out of the gross body. And he's completely traumatized. He becomes traumatized, but he can't say anything. Fortunately, Ajamil, he said, Narayan! He called on the name of God, and the Vishnu Dutas, they intervene and stop the Yamadutas. So it's described by Kapila Dev. There's a road down to the Yamasadana, to the hellish planet. And along this road, the dogs of hell are barking and biting this poor fellow and poor person. And there's fires on each side, and there's no water to drink, although he feels thirsty. And then the elephants of hell, they rip his limbs apart from his trunk. It's fearful, very fearful. This is the description of the great sage, Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Veda Vyasadeva. These are real. But people have no knowledge. They just do not have knowledge. They're in total ignorance, and they think, oh, we're advanced. We have this, we have that. We have so many things. Don't preach to me. Why should you preach to us? Wow, what are you doing selling these books? What is this Hare Krishna? Are you brainwashed? Yani Shal Sarva Bhutani. What is day for living entities is nighttime for the introspective sage, as described by Krishna to Arjuna. Yasyam Bhavati Samoha. The bewildered living beings, what they think is good is actually not good. Adharmam dharmam itya manyate tamasavitaha. In the mode of ignorance, people think adharma is dharma. And they think that adharma, they think that adharma is real, their faith, you know. There's no God. The world came by chance. There's no one sustaining the universe. And when they see religious people, then they think, oh, those people are a nuisance. Let's get rid of them. Let's persecute them, and so on. Mode of ignorance, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So I'll stop there. And we'll open for questions and comments. DT, is going to express a lot of remorse, and Kasyapa will bless her that her grandson will be a great devotee. Prahlad Maharaj will be a great devotee. And then Prahlad Maharaj's grandson is Bali Maharaj. He's also a very great Mahajan. So thank you very much. Thank you for lending your ears. And we can open up for questions or comments.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, as always. Personally, I feel so enlivened when I hear the devotees chant the Sanskrit slokas. And you chanted them so profusely and so relatively to what you were sharing. It's so beautiful, so beautiful. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations you may want to ask, share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your reflections. Prabhuji, I have this question. I've asked this question like maybe once or twice, but I still would like to ask this question. There has been lots of statements that my sin, my crime, my offense could cause my generation to be punished. And I do not see how that should be the case. And particularly, we're talking about deity who gave birth to these two demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Now, as far as I know, there is a little bit of a background story that Indra destroyed the embryo of deity some time ago. And a deity prayed that she could have children who could defeat Indra. And so by such prayer, she was awarded Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So in other words...
No. Okay, finish.
Okay, so if that is the case, then it means that Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were already demons. It is not the doings of deity and what is the name of the husband? Kashyapa. Yeah, who had to have demons as their children. In short, my question is, does an innocent soul get punished for another soul's crimes that that particular soul getting punished knew nothing about? It did not play any role at all. Yet, because he is related, he also gets to punished.
First of all, I wanted to refer you to the 6th canto. What happened was Didi was angry with Lord Indra because Indra had prayed that Vishnu will kill Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So in the 6th canto, I think it's the 17th chapter, I'm not sure. Diti decides out of anger that she's going to kill Lord Indra. And she prays to have a child. Vishnu had already killed, Nrsingadev and Varaha had already killed Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. So now we're in the 6th canto, and she's praying and pleasing her husband, Kashyapa, and he tells her you have to perform this, it's called Prayodhana rituals to get a child that will kill Indra. Indra finds out about it, and he is religiously, ceremoniously, he's serving Diti every day, bringing her fruits while she's performing this great ritual. It's called Paramdana or something. Anyway, it's a ritual instructed to her by Kashyap. And Kashyap is a bit in trouble because he doesn't want Indra to be killed. But he's pleasing Diti. So one day, while performing these regulations, Diti forgets to wash her hands and feet after eating. And Indra, he enters her womb, which she was pregnant with, the one Marut. And Indra cut the Marut into 7 pieces, and they lived. And then he cut the 7 again, they got 49 Maruts. And the Maruts turned out that they're from the heavenly planets. And Lord Indra feels remorse and so on. And he confesses to Diti that he had clandestinely entered her womb when she had inadvertently broke or defaulted on these rituals she was performing. And Kashyap, of course, he was quite happy because he said, if you fail, Diti, if you fail or default, the child in your womb will become the friend of Indra. So that's all in the 6th canto. I'm just trying to recall. I've read it a long time ago. So that's different. So your question is, someone who is implicated in a sinful reaction but did not commit, he was like a innocent bystander. That I don't personally agree with. The quote in the 3rd canto, Karmana Divinachana, Jehud Antupapataye, Strio Pravishtum Adarat, Pumsaraita Kanashraya. That by the hand of God and the laws of karma, a living entity enters through the semen of the father into the womb of the mother based on his karmic behavior. Based on his behavior. He takes birth in a particular womb, and then he comes out. He can be born in a family of demons. He can become a demon. That means inauspicious, or he may be born in a pious family. Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhashta Pajayate. The unsuccessful yogi takes birth in a pious family or a family of wealthy people and continues on his spiritual journey. So when you're suggesting that someone just completely not implicated in the act of sinful act or heinous act is because he's related to someone, receives punishment, that of course is a fact sometimes. For example, Ramachandra Khan was very envious of Haridas Thakur. And he conspired to scandalize Haridas Thakur by sending a young prostitute to his ashram in Benapola, right near Mayapur. And then Lord Nityananda was so angry. Haridas Thakur is Lord Nityananda's best friend. They go door to door by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order. They go door to door preaching every day. And Haridas Thakur is Namacharya. So many rounds every day, 192. He's a great, great personality. Namacharya, very humble. And so Ramachandra Khan receives and eats the seed of his sin of Vaishnava Aparad, Sadhu Nindana. And what happens? Well, he was cheating the Muslim government, and the officials, the uh, constables, the law enforcement agents at that time, they came and destroyed the whole village of Ramachandra Khan. He was embezzling money from the government. So we see that his sin spread out to all the villagers, all the people under his subjugation, because he was the leader of that village. Other people suffered because of his sinful act. So yeah, and that's, you're right in that, correct in that way, that sometimes others who did not commit a sin become implicated in the sinful reaction due to their association with the sinner. And that's the example in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So yes, you're right. But you may ask why. Well, if you commit offense to such a great personality, you have to really understand that you're implicating anyone who is in your family, in your community. Everyone has to get a reaction for your behavior, and you are a leader. Um, it's also stated by Prabhupada that the prime minister or president of the country receives 1/6 of the collective sinful activities of all his subjects. And the king was named Naradeva, human God, God in human form. So anyone who is a leader is also responsible for the sins of all his subjects. Krishna has put him in a position of responsibility. If he misuses that, he has to know that he's also implicating and causing the suffering of others, knowingly or unknowingly. That's the way it works. So these,
Well,
these, these
thank you so
are.
much, Prabhuji. If we still have some time, I would like to revisit this question and the beautiful answer you gave. But we have Tribhuwanath Prabhu's hand up. Tribhuwanath Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you for the wonderful explanation of this, sloka. Prabhu, going through this sloka, I was thinking, how do you help us relate this particular episode to our daily practice? How do we relate this scenario of deity Kashyapa to our daily practice?
That's a very nice question, Prabhu. Tribhuwanath Prabhu. Well, yes, it's a very important question, especially I see you wearing saffron. Those who are in the brahmachari ashram, those who are in the sannyas or vanaprastha ashram, they have no connection with women. This is described in the 7th canto, 12th chapter, I believe. Behavior of brahmachari. Very, very dangerous to associate with people who are fond of women association or who would like to speak without any kind of control valve, unnecessarily talking with the opposite sex. The mind, of course, is extremely dangerous. And due to our contamination in Kali Yuga, we have to be very, very careful. Matra spashra tuhitrava naviviktashino balavam indriya gramo. It's also warned in the 9th canto, that verse, that one should be very careful. Don't sit alone with your own mother, sister, or daughter. Duhitrava. Because balavo indriyoga, the mind and senses are very, very powerful. And we see the history of ISKCON, so many great leaders who were sannyasis or, so-called big leaders, they have become victimized by this powerful element of Maya Devi. So we have to be like Haridas Thakur and chant very careful rounds and keep ourselves separate from female association or association with materialistic people. Prabhupada says in the purport in that particular chapter that, yeah, how do we preach? So we go and preach specifically to uplift the living person, the innocent people, but we don't dally with them. We distribute a book to them. Maybe they come to the temple, and then, practically speaking, if it's Mataji's, alone, single, young women, Prabhupada says a woman in her youth is extremely powerful and dangerous. So it's also described, the senses are like serpents. They're always ready to bite, you know. And just as a boat on the water can be, you know, blown away by the wind. So the mind, uncontrolled mind, can certainly affect one's spiritual life. Arjuna compares it to the wind. So this particular verse, one of the lessons here is that even if you're in the Grihastha ashram, you have to be careful. You have to be rigid. You have to practice your sadhana bhakti very carefully. And as Bhaktivinoda Thakur suggests, and Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they have given us this sadhana bhakti process, Vedi bhakti, getting up before the rising of the sun. Jeev Jago, Jeev Gago, Gora Chanda Bole. And perform sadhana bhakti very carefully. So that is one track of the two tracks that the devotee is traveling on. Pancharachika Vidhi and Bhagavad Vidhi, go out and distribute the holy name and perform Sankirtan Yagya for the benefit of the fallen souls. So, like Prabhupada said, when you're shaving, you can easily cut yourself. So we know this world is like a huge ocean of difficulty. Getting out of this material world will take a lot of dritavrata, a lot of determination, self-control, tapasa brahmacharyana samena cha damena cha, tyagena sacha tyagena, renunciation. We want to purge our hearts of any kind of enjoyment, any subtle enjoyment, fame, power, followers, all these things the mind is hankering for. And of course, sense gratification, material gain. So it's a constant process of, as Prabhupada said, we declare war on Maya. So we're warriors. And our best weapon is the holy name. And association with devotees, chanting together, studying together, reading together, preaching together. And Srila Prabhupada once told, he was in Vrindavan, and he said, this brahmachari should go. The president said, this brahmachari is going to preach in Punjab. Prabhupada said, yes, is he going alone? Yes, Prabhupada, we don't have anyone to go with him. That is not proper. He said, saffron, the renunciates, brahmachari, sannyasi, should not travel alone. And the temple president said, oh, Prabhupada suggested someone, and temple president said, no, he's doing deity worship, Prabhupada. He's doing pujari work. I said, what is this deity worship? He should go and preach with this boy. And he probably took him off the altar, said, preaching is most important, and he shouldn't go alone. So we have to be very cautious, is my point. And here we see that even an exalted person like Kashyapa Muni is so much influenced by the female energy. He's controlled by his wife and her lower tendencies. So that's very dangerous in spiritual life. The man has to be very strong and very diligent in Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Haribo. Are you muted, Prabhu? Trilok?
Yeah, Tribhuvannath?
Tribhuvana, yeah.
Well, I believe he's satisfied. Anyone else with something to ask or to share? Tribhuvannath, were you okay? Well, Prabhuji, if I may revisit my question,
Yes.
which you beautifully answered. See, I've never been a good Christian, but before I tried to become a Vaishnava devotee, I was trying to be a Christian, so I was reading the Bible. Now, in the Bible, if I may put it up here, and then you help me relate that to Krishna consciousness teachings. This is from the Old Testament, Ezekiel chapter 18. This is Roman numeral. It says, God reproves the people for their unjust proverb of the sour grapes. So there is a proverb in the biblical teachings that the fathers sow sour grapes and the children had their teeth set on edge. In other words, the fathers sow sour grapes, and now the children have come to taste the sour grape. They are going to suffer from it. And God is saying that, no, that is not the case. So, I mean, the whole of 18 talks about that, but I would like us to go to text 20. Text 20. It says, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. So I understand that sometimes, like, there may be natural disaster, like maybe hurricane, maybe the demigod was aiming at one person, but when there is hurricane, certainly it's not just one person who is going to suffer. Many others are going to suffer. But for having the conception that an innocent person suffer for the crimes and the offenses and the sins of their parents doesn't, excuse me to say, doesn't make sense to me. And of course, something doesn't make sense to me does not mean it's not right. Who am I? But it does not make sense to me in the sense that even in our material world, if I stole and my parents did not have any role in my stealing, the government is not going to go after my parents. But if my parents had any role, yes, then the government may go after them. And If the parents had no role at all, and the government goes after them, everybody will say, oh, this government is unjust. So what to speak of the Supreme Lord himself? This is my concern and dilemma.
Mm.
Probably initially I was muted. You mind if I say a few things before you go into Dave problem?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Prabhu, you say, I appreciate, firstly, I appreciate your response, but I was not looking at the social aspects of practice. I was looking at the sadhana practice, in the sense that we can say in one sense that Kashyapa is not strong enough. If we are very articulate about this particular section of Bhagavatam, we see that Kashyapa was aware of everything, and he tried to console, but Data was not on that level of understanding his constellation. But I was thinking of how do we relate this to our daily practice? Daily practice in the sense that, as you mentioned, we practice sadhana bhakti not on the social level. For instance, on the 16 rounds of our daily practice, how does this relate to us? That was the area I was looking at. Thank you.
You're saying that the 16 rounds we chant every day and practice our sadhana, how does this verse relate to that?
Yes, I'm looking at how does it relate, to our sadhana, our practice of this, some people chant 60 rounds, some chant more than 60 rounds, like that. So how does this really, how does this experience of Kashyapa and deity reflect to, our practice, our, daily practice of sadhana, not on the social level?
Well, like I mentioned, that we're doing our Vedic Bhakti or Bhakti Yoga, Sadhana Bhakti. And Rupa Goswami warns us, he gives us parameters in which we can work within this process of Bhakti Yoga. Atihara Prayashascha, Prajalpaniyamagraha, Janasangas Chalolyam Cha, Sadvir Bhakti Pranashchati. So if you're chanting your rounds or you're doing it attentively, while doing your bhakti in the temple, are you controlling your senses? Atyahara. You're allowing your mind and senses to overeat or over collect. These are all practical directives by Rupa Goswami in the Upadeshamrita. Prajalpa, devotees, they chant their 16 rounds and they're doing chatting during japa or talking or letting their mind wander. This is kind of prajalpa, unnecessary talks, gramya katha, gossiping and all this stuff. So in the practice of this sadhana bhakti, am I chanting my rounds properly? Am I performing my devotional service according to guna and karma, focused? And am I becoming free from these 6 pitfalls? Atihara Priyasacha Prajalpa Niyamagraha. I'm following rules and regulations, the 4 basic rules, other regulations. But am I making spiritual advancement? Or am I compromising on these rules and regulations? So here, one of the great pitfalls in spiritual life is being influenced by the female, materialistic female energy. And therefore, Prabhupada is carrying us through with his purports. He even mentioned in a purport just previous to this that it appears that Kasyapa Muni was an impersonalist. And therefore, he was not as strong as a personalist in his spiritual progress. So we also have to make sure that we relate to God and the holy name as a person. Otherwise, niyamagraha, we're following rules and regulations, sometimes with a mechanical way. Niyamagraha, Jana Sangas. We really want to identify only with devotees and avoid identifying. This is another pitfall. We start identifying with non-devotees and oh, it's okay. I'll go and hang out with this person who is a non-devotee. Very contaminating. I've seen devotees come and go because of they start associating and identifying as a non-devotee trying to enjoy. Lolium, of course, being greedy for things that are hard to acquire. So that's just one verse in the Upadeshamrita. So you're asking me, how does it apply to us, this particular section here? Well, mainly the lesson here is about being very careful and being strong. That's definitely there, underlying this pastime of Diti and her husband. It's also describing a bit about Lord Shiva, the demigod Shiva. That's brought into the picture as well. So that's basically what I got from this. And one of the themes of this particular section is to be careful in your spiritual life, to be very cautious in your spiritual life, and control your mind and senses. Basic idea here. It's also very purifying to just, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says in his purports, we become so purified in our spiritual lives. Therefore, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day we have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam continuously. That's the best I can do, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. The point is clear. Okay. Thank you.
Maybe you could ask more advanced devotee.
No, Prabhuji, you are advanced. Well, Shivanath, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, for the question. Generally, when we hear the scriptures, we try to see how we can relate to them and apply them, if possible, in our own spiritual life. So I think that was a very nice question from Tribunat Prabhu. And thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the answer. Now, I don't know if maybe before we even go to my follow-up question about this karma, I wouldn't say karma, because if it is karma, then it actually defeats the question in the first place, because karma means, to my understanding, and you may correct me, Prabhuji, if I'm wrong, it means that I am reaping whatever I sow. If I sow a good seed, I'm going to enjoy it. If I sow a bad seed, I'm going to suffer it. It is not what someone sowed for me. So, but I have this question from the the purport that Srila Prabhupada gave. And I would like to put it up on the screen. This is from the last verse. We treated 35 and 36. So in the 36th purport, Srila Prabhupada was saying that since Lord Shiva is himself associated with women, he knows very well their defective nature, and he might not take very seriously deity's unavoidable offense, which occurred due to her faulty nature. Now, I picked up this statement from Srila Prabhupada's purport because We've been discussing offense. We all know how dangerous an offense could be. And we want to figure out what is an offense? Who says or who stipulates that this is offense? Now, Srila Prabhupada is saying that it is unavoidable offense. How is DT having infatuation, if I may call it that way, with her own legitimate husband become an offense to Lord Shiva? How is that an offense to Lord Shiva? Because if Lord Shiva and his associates are passing by, I don't think they were having an affair in the public. They were having an affair indoors. Excuse me. Dogs don't require any privacy. Humans, intelligent beings, human beings require privacy. So if Kashyapa and Diti have their privacy and the Lord Shiva and his attendants are passing by in the cloud, in the air, how is that an offense? Please, if you may help explain. I just don't get it, why deity's behavior is an offense to Lord Shiva.
Well, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Of course, Lord Shiva is a great demigod, a great devotee, and Garbhadam Samskara, or the process of procreation, has to be done at a particular time and a particular place, and it's in the mode of goodness. So having not considered these requirements, and that Lord Shiva, this is the time when he travels with the followers, his followers, the persons in the mode of ignorance. He is also aware of what all living beings are doing. He is conscious of various living beings. Now, my only guess here, my educated guess, is that she performed this forbidden act at the wrong time, in the wrong situation, in the wrong place. Although it was in a secluded place, Lord Shiva, being Vaishnavanam Yatar Shambhu, the great devotee of the Lord, and he would be aware. I mean, he's not an ordinary person. He's crossing the Vaitarani River. He crosses it. Karanadaksha Vishnu, when he enters into this material world, he becomes Sadashiva. So he's Vishnu Tattva and not Vishnu Tattva. He's somewhere in between. So he's also perhaps aware of this act, which is at an inauspicious time. So DT is feeling, oh, I must have offended him by doing this capricious act. That's all I can guess here.
Yeah.
In other words, the message here is, even when we're in union with our wives, to have a child, it has to be done in a proper way, at the proper time. There has to be a performance of samskaras and so on. Otherwise, it's inauspicious, and your child may not become saintly. So in that sense, she might have felt, oh, I must have offended Lord Shiva. So we have to go forward and see.
Prabhuji, sorry if I'm cutting it short.
Go ahead.
Could it be that Srila Prabhupada is making this statement because, of course, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was also saying that Diti herself and Kashyapa himself were both worshippers of Lord Shiva. And probably that could be the reason why they know that, okay, their Lord and Master is passing by this time. We should not be engaging in the act at this time. And if even that is the case, then what happens to those? I think one devotee asked a similar question some time ago. I think Hamsaduta asked this similar question. Then what happens to couples who are not worshippers of Lord Shiva? Assuming that what I'm assuming is the case, that because they both were worshippers of Lord Shiva being their Lord and Master, and they know that their Lord and Master is associates passing by around that time, so they should have given much awe and reverence, but they couldn't, and so it's an offense. But if even that assumption holds, does that apply to those who do not worship Lord Shiva?
Mm-hmm.
It seems there are too many rules about this man-woman relationship, and you think about it, then why should I even get involved in it in the first place? Because you do this, that, oh, it's bad. You do that, it's bad.
Well, yeah. Here, Prabhupada's saying in text 25, purport, that Lord Shiva, he can actually see what people are doing, past, present, and future. Is Trikalagya. And his eyes are like the sun, and another is like the moon, and his third eye is like fire. So it's also described in other places, like the third canto, where Kapila Dev is describing movements of the living entities. And when a person is committing a sinful act, that the 10 directions, the sun, the moon, fire, different witnesses are always there to observe and record these sinful activities. So DT, Prabhupada mentions also in the 7th canto, 11th chapter, that even your own wife, if you engage in sexual activity at the wrong time, without some scars, that is also inappropriate. I mean, it's very strict. It's very, very strict. But that's what Prabhupada says in this particular canto, 7th canto. It's almost, he also compares one's wife who engages in sexual union at the wrong time without samskaras as a prostitute. So we see how strict and rigid this line is drawn. So here, DT, I think, is feeling guilty that she has approached her husband, and her husband's saying, this is not the right time. We have to do things properly, perform samskara and so on, and conceive a spiritually inclined child. We also know that there's 5 factors of action, and the most important one is the hand of the Lord. So if we think about it, Krishna arranged for these Kumaras to curse Jai Vijay because he wanted to have some sporting activities, and he wanted to fight with his devotees who took birth as demons. So the question is arising here that did Krishna have some part to play in Diti approaching her husband at an inauspicious time and offending the great devotee, Lord Shiva, the great personality, Lord Shiva? Prabhupada is saying here, you can see present, past, and future. His eyes are like the sun, like the moon, and like fire, and so on. So in these Bhagavatam stories, a lot of times there's Krishna's hand at play for something to happen. And then these great stories are very inspiring for devotees. Like he comes out of a pillar, half man, half lion, and he shows you cannot outsmart the Lord. You know, you went to Brahma and you're doing such great austerities to become powerful and kill Vishnu or whatever, avoid death from Vishnu. But the Lord outsmarts you every time. So, just a couple, 2 inches more intelligence than you have. So in the stories of Bhagavatam, there's so many different lessons contained in one event. In one event, so many different directions are given by Krishna, so many instructions are given for us. So yeah, Lord Shiva obviously knew what was going on, as is stated here. And is he going to tolerate the offense? Well, ultimately, Krishna tolerates the offense of devotees. Apichet sudaracharo bhajate tadanani bhak. So the path is difficult. Even if a devotee has problems and falls down, has a fall down, and so on, commits an offense to the holy name, if he's sincere, then Krishna says, Akuntiya pratijanihi name bhakti pranashati, right? That my devotee will never be vanquished because he's trying sincerely. And then Prabhupada puts a footnote to that when I was in his class and said, don't take advantage of this verse.
I remember.
Don't take advantage of this verse. Not that you can repetitively, indulge yourself. And Prabhupada also told us one time, he said, in one sense, having sex within marriage, it's not sinful. You're trying your best, right? But the ultimate, the standard is the standard, Garbhadan Samskara, procreation, and so on. And he said that with the devotees in a talk, Prabhupada talking with devotees, at least to be married, and then move up the line of standards, raise your standard to sex for procreation or no sex at all. So Prabhupada's comments are also very important. The Acharya's perspective on things is very important. And we see in our society, especially in the Western world, where there's so much material mode of passion, like in America, where I live, Canada, I've lived in the US, the whole ether is so contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance, so much contamination. And Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very merciful. So Prabhupada said, just keep trying. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, just keep chanting. He said, even if you commit a sin, just keep chanting, purify your heart. Keep trying, don't give up. So many of my God brothers and God sisters gave up, Thousands are gone.
Yeah.
Why is there only 5 or 6 Prabhupada disciples in Mayapur? Used to be 200. Because this path is very, very challenging. It's very difficult. And you have to keep trying. You have to keep determined. And Prabhupada said, Don't be duplicitous. Don't be, duplicity. Your face is, you're saying one thing, but your mind, you're planning to break the principles or secretly do something or other, or, you're fostering desires for fame and position and material gain. These are all pitfalls and weeds within the heart. So Prabhupada said, don't be duplicitous. If you have a struggle, then dadati pratigrinati goyamaketi prichati. You consult with a devotee who you respect. You consult with them. I'm struggling. Everyone's struggling until we come to Raganuga Bhakti or some more elevated position in devotional service, constantly remembering the Lord. The mind will be uncontrolled mind will be our enemy. So we have to consult with more senior devotees. We have to express our struggles confidentially consult, and have faith that these devotees have our best interest at heart. Not that they're going to go, hey, this devotee is struggling, he's smoking ganja or whatever. I know devotees are still addicted to eating meat, and they go to the temple and so on, and you just have to try and help them. They have some addiction.
Wow.
And then, yeah. So here, Lord Shiva knows everything. He's omniscient. He's a true
you answered the question before I even asked, so there is no need to ask the question. Thank you so much, because I was going to ask, like, your devotionally educated advice to us as struggling devotees at this level, what we need to do, but you already answered that. But Prabhuji, if you have a little bit of time, there is one question and one remark in the chat room, which I find them very interesting. The question is, Prabhuji, what do you make of the, I'm waiting to get your response to this, because it seems I have some question to his question. What do you make of the statement that in pure goodness, one cannot really perform his duties as a grihasta, and therefore he has to remain in passion? In other words, if someone is in pure goodness, he cannot remain a grihasta. So if someone continues to remain a grihasta, does that mean that the person is perpetually going to be remaining in passion? I don't know where that reference might be, but this is his question.
Tadarajas tamo bhavo kamaloba deasya cheta eter anavidam. This verse is in the first canto, second chapter. Tadarajas tamo bhavo kamaloba deasya. One has to remove the mode of passion and ignorance, which is characterized by kamalobhadayaschaye. It's characterized by lust and greed. Chita ater anavidam stita pragya. And then one becomes stita pragya. One becomes fixed in the mode of goodness and ultimately wants to transcend the modes. Sadhanan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. Grihastas and ashram. Lord Nityananda was in the Grihasta ashram. He was completely transcendental. Lord Chaitanya was married. He's not in the mode of passion. Ramananda Roy, he was considered Sudra, and he was a Grihasta. There's so many Grihastas that are highly transcendental persons. Ihayasya harer dasya karmana manasagira nikilas vapu avastashu jivan mukta suyuchate. Your Jivan Mukta, if you're engaging in Krishna service and serving Krishna and all your family members, Manasa Deho, Geho, Yoga, Chamora, Arpalan Tuapada, Nanda Kishore, my house, my family, everything belongs to Krishna. When you put Krishna in the center, you transcend the modes of material nature. Sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. I don't know this idea. I'm a Sudra, therefore I'm in the mode of ignorance. No, Ramananda Roy was considered Sudra. He was a Kayasta. He's not in the mode of ignorance. He's completely in Vrindavan, constantly within his mind. In fact, Lord Chaitanya sent Pradyumna Mishra, a high aristocratic Brahmin, to take instructions from Ramananda Roy. Even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, a big Brahmin, a big aristocratic Brahmin, did not have the same confidential, the same intimate association, Prabhupada says, as Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar. So kibe vipra kibe nyasi sudra kene noi. Ye Krishna tattva vete se guru hoy. It doesn't matter. Vipra, yas, sannyasi, sudra. That's the whole philosophy of Lord Chaitanya. He came to reject, to revolutionize this class system. Anyone can, even a woman can become a great devotee of the Lord. Mami parta vipasricha tepi su papayonaya. Striyo vaishas tata sujas tepi yanti param gatim. A woman, a Sudra, anyone, if they are practicing Krishna consciousness properly, Tadara Justamo Bhavo Kamo Labhareyasaye Cheta Iter Anabhinam Stita Pragya Prasiditi. One who's fixed in Krishna consciousness, just like you put iron in fire, becomes fire-like. When your consciousness is in Krishna, you're transcendental to the modes of nature. At that point,
Yeah.
Krishna says in the Gita, become conscious of me.
Thank you so much.
Machita.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so it does. Lord Chaitanya didn't care. Grihasta, Sannyasi, Sudra, Vanaprastha, Brahmachari, whatever your guna and karma is, from that point you serve Krishna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a householder all his life.
Yeah.
He took Kshetra Sannyas at the end, which means he didn't travel. Who is Bhaktivinoda Thakur? He's from the spiritual world. He's the seventh Goswami. He's Kamala Manjari. He's one of the assistants of Radharani. And he's in a householder ashram. Okay. I think I made my point.
Oh, very clear. Yes, Prabhuji, you made your point so clear. In fact, I was just alerted that one devotee had been raising his hand for so long, and I didn't see it.
Yeah.
My apologies. So maybe we take that. Prabhuji, you're speaking from India, right?
Yes.
Yes, so we're quite conscious of your time. It's quite late your time. Govinda Prabhu, please you may unmute. You may unmute and go ahead to ask your question. Hare Krishna. Are you there? Well, it seems we cannot reach him. But there was a remark or comment in the chat room, which I find it interesting. This is from Sati.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Yeah.
So sorry. Thank you, Prabhu. My respectful obeisances to you and my obeisances to the Vaishnavas. Prabhu, my question It's about Diti and Lord Indra. Sometimes we as devotees, some of us, we pay less attention to certain details. We are not actually conscious about what time to eat at night and to clean our hands and mouth and even what we put on before we go to sleep. Sometimes we go to sleep with the same cloth that we have eaten with, and we put our foot on people's shoes, especially on festival times. And there are a lot of things, we shave our hair sometimes even at night. We shave our hair, we cut our fingernails, and we said, we say everything is transcendental. Whatever devotee does is transcendental. And sometimes you see great devotees coming down from their platform of high level of advancement. They come down. So I'm shocked, and it's amazing how Lord Indra, he's so powerful. He could have entered into Diti and do his own thing, but he has to watch Diti. He was just watching to get a right time, right opportune time to enter her womb. Mm-hmm. So I would kindly ask that you speak a little about this cleanliness, because we don't pay attention too much to our surroundings and our behavior. And I believe it's affecting us softly, and some negative energies can also allow devotees in our practices to our devotional service. If you can kindly talk more about this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the comment there. So, of course, Prabhupada, you always emphasize on cleanliness. One of the Suchinam, it means cleanliness, one of the 26 qualities. When he spoke about it, he said there's external and internal cleanliness. And we know that the act of illicit sex causes uncleanliness. It breaks this, one of the legs of Dharma. Cleanliness is broken by this act of illicit sex. Intoxication breaks the leg of austerity and so on. So Prabhupada was very emphatic about following these basic rules for cleanliness. Therefore, he said deity worship helps the devotees practice cleanliness internally and externally. Now, having said that, if we're so caught up with following every single rule and regulation given to us by the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, there's so many rules and regulations. Rupa Goswami condemns this or criticizes it as being niyamagraha. That, I can't touch the Bhagavad Gita. Like I've distributed Bhagavad Gita to Indians. Oh no, I can't touch it. I'm a non-veg. I said, look, Krishna is the Papa Vidham. He's never touched by sin. You take this book home, it'll purify you. No, I can't buy this book. I eat non-veg. No, Krishna will purify. We're distributing millions of books to people in the West that eat meat every day, smoke, drink. And how can you embrace that regulation? Oh, no, these people are, and so many Brahmins have preached like that these people are Sudras or Harijans, or they can't come in the temple. This whole caste system has ruined the Vedic culture. So we have to we discern the rationale for practicing certain rules and regulations. Is it conducive to my spiritual advancement? That is the question that Rupa Goswami addresses. If it's not conducive to my spiritual advancement, then I reject it. If it's conducive, I accept it. Prabhupada told his godbrothers, because when devotees came to India, sometimes they'd pick up a chapati with their left hand, and the Gaudiya Math godbrothers would flip out. Prabhupada said, yes, they have a little problem with the cultural norms and so on, but they've given their life to me. That's what Prabhupada said. They gave their life to me. What are you guys doing? You have thousands of people trying to spread the revolutionary movement of the Sankirtan movement? No. You're sitting around, he said, they're sitting in the temples chanting Nish Nish Hari Hari and eating rice. Prabhupada said that. Chanting Nish Nish Hari Hari and eating rice. So we have to be careful that sometimes people are caught up in rules and regulations, and they become proud that they're so, strict and rigid, and they become envious and critical of the great devotee of the Lord who's spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. Prabhupada says that in one of his purports in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that so-called Vaishnavas are like hogs and dogs. They're criticizing the efforts of the devotee of the Lord, pure devotee of the Lord, who is empowered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread this miraculous movement all over the world. It's a miracle what Prabhupada has done. And he made concessions. Women were given Brahmin in the West. That wasn't the Gaudiya Math program. He gave sannyasi to 19-year-old boys, sannyas and so on. He adjusted the situation because ultimately you accept what is conducive for making spiritual advancement, and you reject that which isn't conducive. And according to the social customs and norms of a particular country, you have to see how to dovetail in Christian service. In the West, women and men are treated equally. You start discriminating, and you're going to lose the importance of preaching to those people. They won't accept that, women can't do this, they can't go on the altar, this, that, and the other, they can't be gurus. Prabhupada even said, woman can be a guru. Just like a woman in university, she gets a medical degree, becomes a doctor. That's his example. So we have to be very careful. At the same time, yes, Prabhupada emphasized cleanliness. But, one time we were traveling across America, and devotees were criticizing these book distribution Sankirtan devotees. Oh, they're traveling, and therefore they're eating food that has not been offered to the deity. They're eating non-prashad, and they criticized. And they went to Prabhupada. So these boys, these devotees, girls, boys, these devotees, brahmacharis, brahmacharinis, they're living in these vans, and there's no deity worship. They're not offering their bhoga. Prabhupada said, they can offer that to my books. He said, my books are deities. He said, how dare you, interfere with this preaching of Lord Chaitanya. He loved the traveling buses. He said, they're like traveling temples. He said, you can worship my books. You can offer bhoga to my books. My books are non-different from Krishna. They're deities. Srimad Bhagavatam, Book Bhagavat. So like that, we have to be careful not to be narrow-minded and not see what is rational. Like Prabhupada said, use your common sense. Don't just follow some rule that is not applicable to help you make advancement. I know devotees in the Gaudiya Math that say, you can't eat anything orange. You can't eat tomatoes. You can't eat carrots. Prabhupada didn't care about all these kind of rules. Said, offer the carrots, it'll be prasad. Krishna will accept. Yeah. Bhakti Bharita. Patram pushpam palam toyam. He didn't go with all these very tiny little, little like hair splitting. He didn't like that. He said, simply use your talents and simply serve Krishna. One time a devotee was saying, oh, Prabhupada, they're taking some kind of nectar. They made some nectar, and it was on Ekadasi, and there was corn syrup, a sweetener. And they told Prabhupada, oh, corn is a grain, I said, we're not fanatics. A little bit of corn syrup or something. He said, not fanatics. The goal is how to love God, how to serve the Supreme Lord. Inadvertently, we're killing insects, we're killing animals all the time, but we're serving Krishna, so it's forgiven.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And dear devotees, we thank you all for your rapt attention and participation, as always. Prabhuji, let me just read this. It's just reading. You probably don't need to say anything, but one devotee, Sati, was saying, when we were discussing about Grihastha life, like DT, so it says, my Gurudev in Nigeria during class would say, do you know why you are all unhappy? You want to get married. Then he would laugh. So that is Sati's contribution to that discussion. But Prabhuji, thank you so much. Personally, my understanding is that this material world is full of darkness, and that is why Sri Krishna created the sun to give some light in the material world. And so in our pursuit to Krishna consciousness, we are in the dark and we need light. And Sri Prabhupada is there, but he's passed on the torchlight to his disciples, and we are so fortunate we have your association. You are a torchlight to lots of us, and I have chosen to speak this way in this forum because my understanding from Bhakti Vinod, whom you very beautifully glorified, in his song, the Kibajayo song, the last stanza tells us whenever there is gathering of devotees like this, there are great saints, devotees, demigods around us. We may not see them, we may not feel them, but they are here. And so it is our fervent and humblest prayer that lights like your humble self should be empowered more and given more extended life so that those of us in the darkness can have the benefit of also coming out of darkness to becoming light. So we can also extend the light and keep extending till time indefinite. So this is our humblest prayer. And we are very, very grateful to have your association, which always comes with so much encouragement, so much wisdom, and so much love. Thank you so much. And with that, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute yourselves. And we all, with one love, one heart, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our deepest appreciation to our revered His Grace, Shri KRIPANIDHI Prabhu, for sharing his love and wisdom with us all. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Mancha Kalpa Taripescha, Kripa Sindhya Evacha, Patitana Pavanamaya Vaishnava,
Namo Namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. All glories to His Grace, KRIPANIDHI
Hare
Prabhu
Krishna.
Ki Jai. All
Thank
glories
you.
to Her Grace, Karunamayi Devi Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. And all glories to Samud Vaishnava devotees Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Africa Yatra.
Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you for your association.
Hare Krishna.